I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be the secret to happiness is freedom. Well, I've got a bunch of quotes that I'm going to go through today because the viewer's email that I've got, he brings up a lot of good things. The guy is obviously really struggling in a lot of areas. His business has gone down the shit over the past year. He got dumped by a girl, and he has, I guess he's has psychologists and therapists that he's been working with, and he feels like he's basically getting nowhere in life, and so he feels really depressed and unhappy. And so I've got some quotes here that I want to share. There's a lot of concepts around this, and it's all going to center around freedom and happiness and how to achieve, obviously, and the importance of freedom as far as it facilitates your ability to be happy. And so the first quote that I want to share is, this is one from John D. Rockefeller, and it's such a great quote. And it's old. I mean, this is over 100 years ago, and at the time, he was one of the world's wealthiest men, and I think everybody's heard of the Rockefeller family. So he says, "I do not think that there is any other quality so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance. It overcomes almost anything, even nature." And another quote I've got is from Thich Nhat Hanh, and he says, and this relates to freedom and happiness, he says, "The amount of happiness that you have depends upon the freedom that you have in your heart." In other words, to me, what that speaks to is our ability to live our lives of our own design, meaning we can come and go as we please and do more and more things of the kind of things that we really want to in our life, as opposed to what our career dictates or our employer dictates, meaning that also has to do with attachments, meaning you're not attached to the girl that you got dumped by, or the fact that you didn't get that tricycle you wanted in 5th grade, or whatever it happens to be, meaning that you let go of things. Because when something happens in life, and a lot of things in life, shit just happens, and it's totally out of our control. And when we don't accept that reality, in other words, when we want reality to be other than it is, and we don't accept the present, we're going to suffer from it. When we suffer, we don't feel that we have freedom, and obviously we don't feel freedom, that hinders your ability to be happy, because happiness really is being able to do what you want, when you want, and with who you want. And this is another one from Thucydides, I think is how you pronounce it. This was from 471 BC, 400 BC, which stands for before the Common Era, which means like over 2,000 years ago and a really fucking long time ago. And he said, "The secret of happiness is freedom, and the secret of freedom is courage." To me, that means the courage to be who you really are, to go for the things that you want in life. Because at the end of the day, if you get to a point in your life, and whether it's your job or your business or a relationship or a business partnership or whatever it happens to be, and you're not really doing the things that you really want to do, in other words, your heart is somewhere else, but yet you stay in that relationship or that business agreement or that partnership, whatever it happens to be, you're going to suffer because you're not going to feel free. And I remember this when I had a business partnership with some great guys for over 10 years, and I just remember as we got towards the end of that business partnership, in a lot of ways, the three of us were going in 3 completely different directions. And in some ways, the way when we originally got into business together and who we had all evolved into 10, 12 years later was basically the way the relationship was. We kind of, in ways, inhibited each other from really going and doing the things that we really wanted to do. And so this is something that, this is another one. This is from Eckhart Tolle, and I read this about a month or so ago. And this is important, and you're going to see in a minute when I start going through this guy's email here, why. And this is from the philosopher Epictetus, and he lived in AD 55 to 135, and he wrote, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take of things." And this guy's email that I'm going to go through, he's really suffering because of the view that he has taken of things, because of the labels that he has placed upon the circumstances of his life. And you'll see it's really been pretty self-destructive to his life. And one of the things that Eckhart said about that quote was, if you look closely, you will find that by far The greater part of any unhappiness in you is created not by situations, but by what your mind is saying about them. It's created by the self-talk in your head. Such dysfunctional thinking strengthens the ego, but it weakens you. How do you end it? Meet situations and people without judgment. In other words, when you judge something, you put a label on it. And when you put a label on it and you give meaning to that, then you become attached to that meaning. And if your heart is somewhere else or wishes reality that was other than it is, you are going to suffer from that. And that is completely a conscious choice, just simply based upon the labels that you're placing on something. So he continues on, don't indulge in mental movies about past and future. Give your fullest attention to the present moment without mentally labeling it. How many times have I said when you're talking to a woman or you're flirting with a woman and you start wondering about what you're going to say a few minutes from now, or if you're going to be able to take her home successfully and take her to bed, or whatever it happens to be that you're trying to achieve, you've left the present moment when you start thinking like that, and now you're somewhere else other than just enjoying being with her. And she can tell it creates an awkward vibe, an awkward energy, because she can tell you're not completely 100% present with her. You're literally somewhere else in your head. And he continues, this is the arising of presence, a new state of consciousness that frees your mind from its old conditioning. This new consciousness will give rise to a new world. And again, that was Eckhart Tolle. And here's one by Jackson Brown about happiness. He says, happiness is not the absence of problems, but the ability to deal with them. In other words, shit happens in your life, it's totally out of control. Instead of having a freak out about it and saying, oh my God, my life is over, my world is over, you learn to have the ability to deal with it. Instead of freaking out about it, you just look at it and see it for what it is and say, okay, well, what? This shit's happened. The dump truck is backed up and dumped this crap onto my front lawn, this problem, whatever it happens to be, so I got to deal with it. So what's the quickest way to figure it out, to solve the problem, get past the challenge, whatever it happens to be, so I can get back to living my life, being present in the moment and enjoying myself. Because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of life is finding a way to be happy, to enjoy it, because it's fleeting. You're only here for a short period of time, and 500 years from now, nobody's going to care who you were or who I was or what we did or the girl that rejected you or the business that didn't work out. It just doesn't fucking matter. And so I got a quote that I came up with, I wrote, and the secret of happiness is freedom, and freedom to spend your life in your own way and of your own choosing. And one last quote that I want to leave you with, and I'm a patriot. I love the Founding Fathers, and when it comes to freedom and understanding the divine nature of all of us, that was one of the things I'm very grateful for the Founding Fathers of the United States of America, is they understood this. And their wisdom, almost 250-something years later, is still accurate to this day. And I look forward to a time in the very near future where more and more of us spend more time looking at their writings and understanding their writings and how they understood that happiness and freedom are directly related to one another. And this is from John Adams, and he wrote this in Thoughts on Government in 1776, which was also the Declaration of Independence. He said, government is instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. Therefore, the people alone have an incontestable, unalienable, and indefeasible right to institute government and to reform, alter, or totally change the same with their protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness require it. Fucking, that's just so powerful. It's so awesome. So, I mean, I look at that quote, and when you take into account that 80% of our current, basically the politicians that we have, the guys that are making all the decisions for all the rest of us, the guys and the girls that are making these decisions, they spend 80% of their time going to fundraisers where they can directly interact with people who are capable and sending the greatest amount of campaign contributions their way to keep them in power. And so when you have that kind of arrangement, and you see that 96% of all incumbents get elected, and we wonder why nothing ever changes. It doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office. It doesn't fucking matter. Nothing really changes that much. That's what you get. You get a bunch of vote whores and men and women with absolutely no principles and no moral compass making the laws. It's only for their own self-interest. What did John Adams say? He says it's instituted for the common good, for the protection, safety, prosperity, and happiness of the people, and not for profit, honor, or private interest of any one man, family, or class of men. Think about that. We all pretty much know what the fuck's going on in the halls of our governments. So let's get to this email here and go through it. And so he says, "Hey, Coach, when it comes to women and relationships, I am a complete failure. I've watched some of your videos and I'm currently reading your book. And for the first time in my life, I'm 34 years old, I feel as though there may be light at the end of the tunnel. I will be booking some phone coaching sessions via Skype with you, but I just wanted to touch base and tell you my story. My relationships have been a disaster, and at school I was pathetic when it came to girls, and has carried on that way throughout my adult life. At school, I would always try to talk to girls, but they never liked me as more than a friend. I have always been fairly tall. I'm 6'9", and girls have always told me I'm too tall to date." That's fucking bullshit. What that really is that's just simply the excuse that the girl is trying to give you. In other words, she's just basically saying, I don't find you. In other words, you're not physically appealing enough to her. And so when you hear things like that, or a girl rejects you, what should be going on internally in you is, hey, well, it's your fucking loss. Next, it's kind of like, think about it. You go up to the deli section at your favorite grocery store, they're calling numbers out in line. Bottom line is, when you interact with a girl and you're attracted to her, you want to know one simple answer, and that is, honey, are you in or you out? Without saying it that way. So when a girl rejects you, it's like, okay, next, number 59, oh, you're not interested? Number 60, oh, you're not interested? Number 61, you're not? Oh, okay. And you just keep going. It's like, it doesn't faze you. There's another bus every 15 minutes. There's 6.5 billion people on this planet, and half of them are women. That's something to think about. The odds are definitely in your favor when it comes to that. It is definitely a numbers game. But the more you get hung up on chicks that it doesn't go anywhere, think, oh my God, I didn't get accepted. Oh, it's like, who fucking cares? Your ability to not become attached to that particular rejection is directly proportional to the amount of freedom that you're going to feel in your heart. And so if you can get to the place where you literally really don't give a fuck because it doesn't fucking matter, that enables you to just move right on to the next person without any kind of attachment. Because what's happening in a lot of cases, you're interacting with women and you're worried whether or not they're going to accept you. And you're fearful that they're not going to accept you like all the rest of them have, and say something like, oh, well, you're too tall, you're too this, you're too that. Whatever the BS excuse happens to be. You're taking this shit personally. And you should look at, and when you go around with like a butthurt look on your face, or always expecting to get rejected, they can sense it, they can feel it. They can feel it when they look in your eyes that you don't got it. In other words, you don't believe in yourself because you're too focused on the outcome. You should look at it more as like I said, really like going to the deli counter at your grocery store and ordering some meat. It's like maybe they got it in stock what you want, or maybe they don't. You never know who you're going to see in line when you go there, or what type of meats they're going to have, so to speak. I know some of the girls are probably going, oh my God, I can't think, it's like a meat market. It's like, you got to think that way. And if you're a woman watching, it's the same thing. You can't get attached. It takes two to make a relationship work. And too many people in our society get all hung up when the person that they love doesn't love them back. Remember, one of my other favorite quotes is, you must love in such a way that the person that you love feels free. And if you give off the vibe where deep down you feel like you don't deserve to get what you want, you're going to tend to force things a little bit too much and push things a little bit too much, and that's going to give off a creepy, stalkerish type of vibe. The key is to get to a place where one way or another you could take it or leave it. Oh, this girl's interested in me? Great. Well, you might sit down and have a drink with her for an hour and decide, you know what, this girl's really boring, or I'm not really interested in this girl, or I don't like her values, or we don't have similar goals in life. And then you can move on, as opposed to just looking at a girl and thinking, oh my God, if I just have one pretty girl spend 5 minutes with me, that would make make my life, or that make my year. So he says, I think because of this, on the rare occasion I met a girl who was interested in me, I become very needy. Well, it was like, that's stalkerish type behavior. In other words, you're always acting like you don't deserve to be there, and women have no choice but to treat you exactly. I mean, people in general will perceive you however you perceive yourself. And so needy energy is going around basically, hey, I don't deserve to be in your presence, Your Highness, but hey, hopefully, maybe, possibly, you'd let me take you out and buy you dinner. I mean, that when you give off that kind of a vibe, you're pretty much always going to get rejected, even by the 5s and 6s. I mean, think about it. Nobody wants to be with somebody that's basically constantly apologizing for themselves and apologizing that they're such a loser, they're not good looking enough, or they're too tall, or they're too short, or one leg is longer than the other, or their voice sounds weird, or their eyes are too far apart or close together, or their nose is too big. I mean, whatever it happens to be. So he says, needless to say, my relationships never last very long, and my longest one thus far is a pathetic 3 months. Well, I mean, I get guys writing in, and they're 30 years old, and they've never even kissed a woman before. So, I mean, it's all relative. It's all perception's reality. And so you could look at that and say, hey, I made it 3 months. That's pretty awesome. Great, you made it 3 months. Well, maybe the next girl, the goal is to try to make it to maybe 4 months or 5 months or maybe 6 months. The key is that you have to recognize that what you've been doing up until this point has not been working, and therefore, obviously, you just simply need to change your approach to a strategy that actually works, and then take action and act accordingly. He says, I've also hooked up with a number of girls just because they like me as opposed to me liking them or finding them attractive. The girls that I try to speak to never want anything to do with me. They tell me I'm good looking but too tall to date. I mean, just don't take it personally, dude. Just next. Number 59, number 60, number 60. I mean, think about this. Over the course of the next 30 days, say, you know what, I'm going to ask out 100 different women. Doesn't matter whether they say yes or no. Just take note of it and get good at it. And when you get to the point where you really don't care one way or another, you're just trying to get through the numbers in order to get the answer to collect the data, complete your analysis. When you get to that point where you really don't give a shit anymore one way or another, you'll see things will start to change. Because that's the problem. When you care too much, when you're too concerned about the outcome, you have an attachment. If you have an attachment to something, your heart is not completely free. And so when you're attached to something and then whatever it is, that person doesn't react or act the way you expect them to, your expectations aren't met, and therefore you're going to suffer and feel like you're a steaming pile of dog dung. Whereas you could look at it and say, you know what, if I at least just ask the girl out, I'll feel awesome. Even if you get rejected, it doesn't matter. At least you had the balls to ask. Because you got to get through the no's in order to get to the yeses. And at the end of the day, if you really would like to have a great relationship, all it takes is one really great person. And it's just a matter of time before somebody comes along who just, for whatever reason, they like the fact that you're tall or your feet are big or you got a big nose or your eye. Like I said, you'll just do it for them. It won't matter. Just because you're there and you exist, it's good enough for them. And as long as you interact with them in a way that creates attraction, consistently over about 2 months, you can get that person to fall in love with you, just like I talk about in my book. So he says, being tall in the U.S. is different to here. We don't play basketball in the U.K., so it is never seen as a good thing. And he says he made a video of it. But at the end of the day, it's like, so you're basically trying to prove to me, hey, Corey, see, the reason I can't get girls is I'm too tall. That's a bunch of bullshit. I don't know, maybe somebody told you that. It's a bunch of horse shit. It's nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. I see plenty of big, tall basket players with these, drop-dead, gorgeous, tiny little cheerleaders or famous actresses. That's a bunch of horse shit, dude. And whoever told you that, you tell them to take a flying fucking roll in a donut because it's irrelevant. So he says, because I've always been needy, I've ruined all my relationships and potential ones. Well, the past does not equal the future. Doesn't matter if you sucked. The only thing that, right up until this moment, the only thing that matters is from this moment on, you've decided or resolved to yourself to apply things and do things differently from this point forward. He said, things came to a head for me 2 years ago when I was dating a girl who was the most amazing person that I have ever been with. I thought everything was going really well, and for the first time in my life, I was starting to fall in love. At least it was the first time I was falling for someone that I was actually having a relationship with. She's a teacher and a very private person. We spent the weekend together, and it was amazing. She wrote me a private note just saying enjoy your cookie, which she had made for me on Sunday. And for some reason, I posted the note on Facebook and tagged her in it with a comment saying, more cookies, please, Miss P. Well, obviously, a girl sees that, and then now all of her friends are going to see that you're doing that. And those are the kind of things that then she's going to start going, hey, who's that guy? You made a cookie for somebody? What's up with that? Is that your new boyfriend? What's going on? And she's not ready to answer those questions yet because in her mind, she's not emotionally ready for that. And besides, this is something private that she shared with you. And so putting it out there on Facebook, obviously, she's not going to be too thrilled about that. He says she texted me and said that she had untagged herself from the picture. 2 days later, I was on my way to go to her place to go out for dinner, and I got another text saying, please call me. I called her, and she said that she wasn't ready for a relationship. That was it. We were over. She said, hey, I'm not ready for a relationship. I was said, great. As far as I know, we were just hanging out and having a great time together, and quite frankly, I'm not ready for a relationship either. I don't know you well enough. I just like to continue hanging out and having a great time and see where it leads. So, I'm not looking for commitment, and, I'm not ready to commit to you, so let's just continue having fun and see where it goes. And if she goes, oh, I need more time, I'm not sure, we've been spending a lot of time together, this is starting to feel like a relationship, blah, 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 then just say, great, well, give me, take some time to yourself, go hang out with your girlfriends, or give me a call in a few days, and we'll get together then. I gotta run, I'll see you later. And then you just get off the phone and you let her go. And when she starts to miss you and she starts to think, well, maybe I was a little impulsive, maybe I pushed a little too hard, I guess I was being a little silly, and I thought that guy was needy, but he really doesn't seem to be that needy. Well, I should give him a call. I kind of miss him. I wonder what he's doing. I wonder what he's up to. That's the way you handle those kinds of situations, but obviously you hadn't found out about my work at that time. So he says, I couldn't understand what I had done wrong, although I now do. He says, over the following weeks, I tried reasoning with her. Bet that worked out well. Sending her drunken messages. How'd that work out? Probably not too good. Telling her I loved her. And this went on for months, and eventually, so you just basically turned into a stalker. And so eventually she told me that she didn't want anything to do with me anymore, and that she now had a new boyfriend, and can I please leave her alone? It's like, dude, talk about over-pursuing. It's like, because when you act that way, you're basically acting like you will never find another woman as long as you live, and you act like a guy who's never had a real girlfriend before, which obviously, in this particular case, you can't. But like I said, in my book, and I think you may have said that you read my book, women are like cats. They're going to come and go as they please. And when a woman backs off, you got to let her have her space so she can start to wonder about you and miss you. But if you start chasing after her and running after her, she's not going to feel free anymore, and she's not going to feel like she has freedom. And then she's going to take off. He says, I was distraught as everything I did was push her away, and I hadn't had a relationship before. Nothing longer than a couple of weeks, and they'd always ended the same way, with me harassing the girls until they want nothing to do with me. It's like, well, dude, think about this. It's like, so that strategy has never once worked. So it's like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So you got nobody to blame but yourself. So, but the good news is you found out about my website, and now you're willing to do things differently, right? So he says, this time I went on a stage further. I did something that I am totally ashamed of. I got really drunk one night, and I told her that I wanted to kill myself. Like, oh, that's a great argument. Hey, please feel sorry for me in order to take me back. It's like, come on, dude, that's pretty fucking weak. He says, she called the police, and I had to promise them that I wasn't going to kill myself. And I've never done anything so appalling in my life, and I'm deeply ashamed. This was nearly 2 years ago, and I blame myself every day since and punish myself by not eating and sleeping all day. It's like, dude, it was 2 years ago. It's like, let it go. You can that quickly just decide, fuck it, okay, so I was a jackass, so I said something really stupid, I looked weak. It's like, yeah, big deal. It's like, get over it. The past doesn't equal the future. The only thing that matters is what you do from this point going forward. He says, I have lost my business and nearly my house because I have been so depressed that I can't get out of bed. I'm just totally ashamed that I had a great girlfriend and managed to completely ruin it and make her and all of her friends hate me. I hate myself because of this. The bottom line is, this girl's part in your movie, it's over. It's time for the next act, dude. He said, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety at 19, and both psychiatrists and therapists tell me that my depression and anxiety is caused by the consistent abuse and criticism caused by my height, and I have therefore never been able to love myself. Yeah, that just sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo fucking BS. And here's the real reason. The real reason that you're not happy is you don't have a compelling vision for your life. You don't have something exciting that you're looking towards. And I'm talking about something that's so emotionally compelling it gives you goosebumps. The kind of thing that brings tears to your eyes when you think about one day living that kind of life and lifestyle. I'm talking about the kind of thing that will get you up early in the morning and keep you up late at night. The kind of thing that you will work so hard and so passionately at it because it's so much fun. It doesn't seem like work, to the point where, I mean, you would forget about the rejection and all the fucked upness and things that didn't go well in the past. And, I mean, the bottom line is if your business failed, it's like, I mean, great, that's in the past. Obviously, it means that you're going to build, you have the opportunity to, I should say, you have the opportunity to build something even bigger and better than what you had before. He says, I think that the way I behaved with the last girl I've been coming for a while as I become more and more desperate to find someone who loves me. Well, what you fear, you attract. And so you got into a fearful place, and when people get in a fearful place and they make decisions from that place, their decisions tend to bring about more of what they fear. So he says, I've been in therapy for the last 2 years, but it does nothing for me, and I really think I could benefit from your coaching. Well, I promise you can. However, you got to participate in your own rescue, and the only fucking way my coaching is going to help you is if you book a session and you come to me with the attitude that, Corey, I'm fucking tired of living like this. I'm done with this bullshit. I'm ready to make something happen right now. Because I can give you the best action plan to take in the world, but if you're not willing to take action on it, then it doesn't fucking matter. It's useless. You might as well save your fucking money. But if you're at the place where you're ready to do something about it and you're fucking absolutely tired of living the way you've been living, then go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone coaching session so I can help you build a compelling life plan for you, and then you can set about the task of just executing the plan and make it happen. And as far as chicks and everything else that you feel like is missing in your life, that shit will all take care of itself in the process, so don't fucking worry about that. You know, the bottom line is the most important thing that you have to do right now is you've got to find you a way to get up in the morning where you have something that's more emotionally compelling than laying in bed feeling sorry for yourself. And if you haven't come up with anything that's emotionally compelling enough, then obviously you need to keep looking. And that's why just one phone session with me, I can help you figure out what your purpose is in life and something that jazzes you and excites you. And this chick, just like you said, it was something that was coming for a long time. So there were obviously a lot of things in your life that sucked or that weren't the way you wanted them to be. And now you have the opportunity. Now you've got this space. It's like everything has kind of been destroyed in a way, and what you have. And so now you got a clean slate. You can build something completely new. Think about it. So he says he obviously wants to work in all areas of his life. And he says, I really want to love myself so I can meet someone and then they can be the icing on my cake instead of my whole cake that I hold on to completely and tightly. Yeah, so what you're saying basically is you tend to make the woman your purpose, and the woman can't be your purpose. The woman will love you because she's excited by your purpose and the fact that you have a passion for your purpose. And most importantly, you're taking action to make your purpose happen, and you expect it to happen. That is the big difference between a guy that's going, oh, my business sucks, I haven't gone to work, and it's kind of going down the tubes. I mean, the bottom line is you got to have something that's emotionally compelling, or at least more emotionally compelling than what you're doing right now. And so if I were you, that's what I would do. But like I said, you got to make the choice. You've got to take some action to get out of what you're doing right now. Because again, if what you are doing is not working and you're going to continue doing the same thing, it's like if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll continue to get what you've always got. That's something to think of. Go to my website right now, click the products tab, and book a paid phone coaching session. I'll talk to you soon.